Hey loves, it's Brit, and in this video, I'm talking about natal Venus in the fourth house. So, this is one of these positions, and this can be changed by other aspects being made to Venus or other planets in the fourth, but this is one of the placements that is said that the childhood is favorable, or the childhood instilled the person with feelings of love and givingness and so it can be a placement of showing a better childhood in some cases. Now, the IC and the fourth house are one's roots. So it really shows a lot about where the person is coming from, their inner child energy, what they were raised like. So with this placement, Venus in the fourth, it can show that they, as a child, felt loved or felt given to, sometimes materially. This can show up in someone that had like kind of like a blessed childhood. Maybe they were even perceived as spoiled or something like that. And there's a real like innate lovingness coming from the core of this person's being. And that lovingness will be shown by the sign of Venus. So some signs obviously are easier than others to have Venus in, but there's a very Venusian energy coming from very deeply in the person's inner self. So it's not always something that's noticed by others, though. This is a very hidden part of us. But at the same time, like where they might not be like physically attractive or beautiful like Venus in the first or something, or exuding Venus energy like Venus in the 10th, but from a very inner level or emotional level, people feel Venus vibrations from this person. This can be a person who is well liked. This can be a person who has a very nurturing energy or a very kind energy in some cases, although it's very much self contained. It can be a more introverted placement of Venus. They might like to just extend their heart um, to their loved ones that are very close in their family. They might struggle with showing their heart or showing that they care to others, in the public or in like, their friend group or whatever. It's like the heart with Venus in the fourth is reserved for the people very, very close to them who will know them as an extremely loving or generous person. So the fourth house also represents the family, the lineage. So the family is extremely important and crucial to the self esteem and self worth of this person. It can also show that there's an inheritance of wealth or even, like I said, lovingness from the family lineage, from the family line. And this person takes, great pride and, a lot of their heart energy, how they love is spent loving the family. Like if there's a child, they love their child with all their heart, or there's children, they like that's where their heart energy comes out is with their family. And they love their family. They can really have a lot of love for their upbringing and the beliefs that they were instilled with in childhood. It's like they can definitely glorify those and yeah, love those. So it's a pretty favorable placement. I mean, anywhere Venus goes is going to be favorable, but just because the IC and the fourth house is like the deepest emotional roots of the person, this can really lend a hand for like emotional stability and like having a blessed life, because you could have other things going on like harsh Saturn stuff or whatever going on in your natal chart, but if you have Venus in the fourth, you have this like inner sanctuary. You have this like inner lovingness that protects you from the harm that we see in your other challenges. So that is one aspect of it. Now, the other aspect of Venus in the fourth house is that the actual home is the sanctuary. Home is where the heart is, right? These people love to own their own home, and they often do like to own real estate, and they can, because like financially there's an energy there where they're a little bit more blessed than maybe some people in some cases. So they can definitely own a lot of properties, or be even in real estate. Like, this is actually a good placement to have if you were a realtor or a real estate agent. um, but yeah, their home that they likely own, and they take great pride in their home. They can really love like decorating it in their own specific unique way, but it's going to be like their own decorations. Like, it's not going to be the way that somebody else wants it. It's going to be very unique and personal to them. So they really have a love and a desire to, because Venus is also what we desire, to make the home beautiful and make the home be an expression of their heart, and whatever that, the way that that looks. There's a lot of time spent at home. They can be a little bit more of a hermit with this placement, which is funny because they're actually so like, they can be so liked by people, but at the same time they can be not very social, or if they are social, they don't, like I said, they don't always share their heart like with people in the social sphere. Their heart comes out with their very close people and in their homes and decorating the home. And sometimes it can be, Venus can also be a planet of excess, right? So in some cases we could see the home, like tons of money being spent on the home, and like all of this decorating and all of this like home improvements, like renovations, and like huge amounts of money being spent to make the home feel like it's an expression of their heart and their like so that this can also be carried out to a negative extent, where it's like, if Venus is afflicted or whatever too, that could be even more so, where it's like they're constantly trying to make the home more beautiful, or and they could also, like, if they are insecure, be seeking home to fill that void. Like, they, like, oh, I feel insecure, I'm going to renovate my house again. Or like, it could end up being like that in a more negative sense. Or let's say if like Venus is with Uranus in the fourth, it could be like, oh, I need to go buy another home on the other side of the world and live there, and then I'm going to feel secure, then I'm going to feel self-worth, and that's not really where it comes from, right? So you have to look at everything. Just because you have Venus in the fourth doesn't automatically mean your self-worth is like high, but it does mean like there is a lovingness for like coming from within your being. But if you don't love yourself, then there can still be these manifestations of like low self-worth with every Venus house placement, right? Although this one does tend to be kind of like a blessing on the inner self. And there's usually more self-esteem and self-worth, but there's always variations with, aspects. And Venus in a harsh sign like Virgo or Scorpio or something, it's like, then it could show that the upbringing actually instilled conflicting messages, in some way. So you always have to look at everything. But overall, this placement is a real warmth and a real like inner heart energy coming from the core of this person's being. And like I said, there's many manifestations. There's usually gain through the family, through the fourth house, like, yeah, in whatever way, like I said, inheritances or good beliefs or loving beliefs can be inherited from the family as well. And a real enjoyment, a pleasure in the home, and wanting to have people over, stuff like that. Like, even though they can be a little bit more introverted with this placement and sensitive and not sharing of their heart, they can like feel more comfortable when they have people over at their home, rather than going to a party somewhere else. Like, if they have the party at their home, that's where they feel like they could really let loose and like be more open and, yeah, involved in their heart. And yeah, their heart energy could really come out when they're home. So yeah, what else do I want to say about this? It could also be, in some cases, that they were raised like by artists or musicians or people that were very Venusian in nature. So they kind of grew up around music, or around like yeah, even more like socialites. The parents were like kind of like socialites, or like, the Venus things, right? So there's that potential as well. But if Venus was like in Aries or something, there could have been a lot of moving around in the house, or early on in the age, like Yeah, so you have to look at everything. But yeah, what else do I want to say about this? There's a deep sensitivity, and yeah, a part of why they hide their heart and they hide what they truly feel, and like their feminine energy, it's like they don't easily show that to people. And a part of the reason why is that it's it's vulnerable for them. There's a vulnerability in this placement with the fourth house Venus. It's like the vulnerability too can be, this is more so in love. They aren't as likely to be the initiator in love. They're more passive. They really value love on a deep level, but it's something deep for them. It's, yeah, they're very deep lovers. They, like, when they do love someone, they love them with their whole being. They would do absolutely anything for them. You can see them being very generous with their spouses. Um, but it's also very like sacred to them. And so you could see, like, if you've got a Venus in Aries in the fourth or something, or like a Venus in Sagittarius in the fourth, like a sign that's usually more like promiscuous, or like, it, this actually, when it's in the fourth, they're less outgoing, they're less likely to take the initiative in love, or have many loves with Venus in the fourth, because it's just too deep for them. It's too sacred to them. They're not as sharing of their heart. Like I've said, like only with close people do they want to share, like, and say, I love you, and stuff like that, right? It's like you got to be like family to receive that from them. But if you are family, if you are who they love, they will do absolutely anything. And they will say it, but it's like only in the safety of sanctuary of their own home with this placement. So they're very deep lovers, but it's just not always seen outwardly by others. Because it's like it's a more sacred and deep experience. It triggers their childhood feelings. It triggers their like familial energy that is so important to them and something that they value so much. So like if you're gonna be their lover, you're gonna be like their family. So you better be right. And so that's why there can be a little bit more hesitance to put themselves out there with love. But then also, because love is coming from such a deep place within, they might be less motivated, like less codependent or needy than other Venus placements who seek it from the outside, because love is already within them. So there can be, in some cases, less urgency for a relationship, although it is really a place where they excel, like marriage and like the home life is something that they're really gifted in and they're really able to um, put their heart in. But at the same time, it's like when you already have that within, you don't have that neediness for it without. So that's actually another gift of it. But it can also keep them in their own bubble without love by feeling that way. So, anyways, yeah, I'd love to know your experience of this placement. If you have it, if you have Venus in the fourth house in your natal, I'd love to know. Or if you know someone, I'd love to know what your experience of it is. And yeah, keep your requests coming, you guys, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.